Alexander. McCollum staying with him. Spins, gets inside. Left-handed off the glass. Oh, what a sweet move.
Giddy, tough spot. Backdoor. What a pass. What a play. And J-Dub picks the pocket of Trae Young. He'll take it himself.
This is Dort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Uncontested post-game show, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and dailythunder.com. I'm your host for the evening, JD Silva, joined by a singular fella that I've never done a post-game show with, Justin Peabody.
Hello, everybody.
Justin, it's great to have you here for our first post-game show. Here's the thing. You and I, known for covering losses, brutal losses during the rebuild era. So did we summon something?
I think that our combined forces were too much. No matter how well this Thunder team was playing, it was too much to handle, and we're paying the price for it.
Yeah, we brought a dark energy to the franchise by doing this episode.
Not great.
We're going to get in and out of here and move on.
Chat. I remember last year when Justin only covered wins. Smoot, what you don't know is it was probably 1920 era. I exclusively covered losses, and then I magically passed that baton to Silva.
Yeah,
we got to cover the losses as of late, and then tonight we summoned some demons.
Unfortunate. Before we digest this game and pass it through our bowels before our Sunday show, be sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating if you haven't done so already. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc. Let's get into this game, Justin, against the Brooklyn Nets. This follows up a loss to the Atlanta Hawks, where the Thunder started out very slow and sluggish, understandably, because they played Boston the night before, didn't get into Atlanta until really late, so it was totally justified that they looked tired, they played tired. That's how it was. What if I told you that exact same thing happened on this evening? The exact same thing. The Thunder, this final score of 124-115 looks a lot nicer than the game actually was for 3.5 quarters. They essentially were asleep for more than 3 quarters of this game, Justin.
What did the lead get up to? Was it 32?
It did.
32.
Yeah, they believe it was 32. I was considering, after I got above 30, I went to my freezer and got out the Ben & Jerry's.
That's a good call. I myself was eating my child's leftover ice cream from dinner, followed up by some tortilla chips. So a very well-rounded meal on my end as well. Not great. This game was hideous. If you had told me the Thunder got in to Brooklyn at 4 a.m. this morning, I would have believed you. But unfortunately, they don't have that excuse this time. I think the flatness against Atlanta, not expected, but a Segababa with travel, especially after an emotional win over the Celtics for one of the youngest teams in the NBA, you can justify that. Tonight is a lot harder to justify. The Thunder, yes, they're on a road trip, but normal travel, normal day, should be in rhythm, not like a weird start time. You're not playing in altitude. There's no kind of crutches that you can lean on for the Thunder's performance tonight. They just came out flat and looked mostly uninterested for 85% of this game. And like you said, much like Atlanta, they turned it on late, and kudos to them for showing some life, mostly J-Dub, fourth quarter. J-Dub again, phenomenal, but that's not enough. And maybe this serves as a wake-up call. I'm not trying to sound alarms over a 2-game stretch. Every team goes through some sort of funk. And up to this point on the season, the Thunder had done a really good job of not losing to the crappy teams, right? Getting your butt kicked by Sacramento in Sacramento, getting your butt kicked by the Nuggets at home. Those are understandable. Those are great teams. They've done a good job of not losing stinkers until this week. And while I don't want to overreact to that 2-game stretch, maybe this serves as a learning opportunity for this young team that on a road trip, playing a team you should beat, you can't take your foot off the gas because they're coming for you. The Thunder are at the point now where they should be getting every team's best shot on any given night. And I think maybe they got to experience some of that and hopefully learn from it, albeit the hard way after these 2 games.
Yeah, in my very short outline for this episode, I have, do the Thunder have too much dip on their chip? They were a part of, I feel like every NBA team probably heard the 12 podcast segments of your favorite national media podcast talk about the Thunder being title contenders.
Yes.
The Thunder,
including yours truly.
oh yeah, I consumed it all. It was great. I still have more to go, I'm sure. But like the Thunder, there's no way. And we've talked about Dagnall, Presney, talk about distractions, good and bad. Before this, it's been a lot of like bad in previous years. Like, oh, they need to trade Shea. They need to do X, Y, Z. They're the black in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then we've swung in the opposite direction. And I think that it'd be hard to not be affected by all of the praise and all of the winning. Like they've been insane. And they're the second youngest team in the NBA. I'd find it hard to believe that at some point that would not, I don't know, shake your focus a bit mentally. And I saw mental errors tonight in addition to them looking a bit tired. Did you see this?
Totally. And I think that, whether conscious or unconscious, like, I don't know that anybody on this team would admit that that's what's going on. And they may not even think that's what's going on legitimately. But I agree with you. I think it's hard to say that had no effect. I think they came into this game and maybe against Atlanta, but again, maybe Atlanta, you do have some more like justification because of the travel schedule. Tonight, they're playing Brooklyn. Brooklyn sucks. They've been on a losing streak. They've been playing very poorly. And they came in and probably thought, I can bring 80% effort and walk out of here with a win. Again, probably not a conscious thought, but it's like, think about it at your job or whatever you do in life. There are times where it's like, oh, I got this. I can mail this one in, money in the bank. Myself, cooking dinner last night. Recipe I've made dozens of times. My wife had my daughter at gymnastics. I'm cooking dinner. Guess who took the pan out of the oven and then immediately grabbed the handle? Those are inexcusable mistakes, JD. But you know what it was?
You're
I was
feeling
sleepwalking.
yourself.
I thought I had it in the bag.
Yep.
I thought I knew what I was doing. But when you forget what you're doing, you grab a pan handle that's been in a 450-degree oven, and that's what the Thunder did tonight against the Nets. They thought, and trust me, it still hurts.
Yeah.
They thought that they had it on lockdown, I think. And you saw it in, I think effort is where it comes through, right? You think that you can sleepwalk through it and you don't crash the boards. You think you can sleepwalk through it and you don't try to push for the best shot and settle for threes. And I think when I watched the game tonight, those were two big things that stood out to me. Early on, the Thunder were settling for three-pointers and making exactly none of them until about halfway through the second quarter. That's lethargic basketball.
It was.
I don't want to drive the paint. I don't want to make the extra pass. I don't want to cut. I don't want to screen. I want to take the three because I'm pretty open and then I don't have to run as much.
And we're the best three-point shooting team in the NBA right now.
And we're the right.
I could just keep taking them.
On the other side of the floor, if you are not crashing the boards aggressively, which has been an issue for this team, but like an issue that they've kind of mitigated
with effort.
Brooklyn does what they did tonight, where they missed 50 shots and they got 20 offensive rebounds.
It's 7 to 20 offensive rebounds, 51 to 36 rebounds.
And how many second chance points for Brooklyn off those 20 offensive rebounds? 36, I want to say.
I was told there'd be no math.
Well played. It's not great.
No.
And I think that's the story of the game. It's effort on both ends of the floor was lacking for the Thunder. And that's the little things. And the little things have kind of been what have made the Thunder great this year.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing them, that's how you can lose to a team like the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, I really didn't recognize the team for the first three quarters. I was like, what team am I watching? Because you're so used to the relentless driving, drive, kick, swing.
Yep.
And it was like a third of what we usually see, if not less than that.
Yeah.
And I mean, thank goodness J-Dub was there in the fourth quarter, like he has been recently, to just, I don't know, give an electric charge to the team. And just his play style, I think, really yields to doing things like that out of nowhere, especially in the fourth, just using like physicality and intensity that other guys might not have naturally. So he's really, it's like the whole Thunder and Lightning thing with he and SGA. It's really fun.
I love it.
That was great, because this would have been, I mean, we were talking in our group chat, like, is this the worst loss of the season? That's
Right.
what it looks like, being down 32 and giving up. It was the defense. They gave up what, 40, nearly 40 in the first quarter.
Yep.
I
39 and then 36 to start the game.
Terrible. And their defense has been awesome too, and that was just lacking. Everything. And you'll go, if you didn't watch this game, you can go check the box score, and the starters' lines all look pretty dang good. I mean, Chet, 8 of 15, 17 points. J-Dub, who I think was actually good. Was he the only starter that was had a positive net rating? He is. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 11. He was a +3. No one else outside of Isaiah Joe or Micic. They were part of the lineup that actually brought the team back to life.
Yeah.
Late in the fourth. So that's
he gave good minutes.
Yeah. SGA 34 points on 11 of 19. The free throws for SGA was like a huge indication of the mental aspect missing, because is he a 91% free throw shooter?
Yep.
Missed 5 tonight. In one trip he missed both, I think. I've like never seen that, not in a long time.
Yep.
It's tough, and the bench did not contribute for the majority of the game. I think the bench ended up with 19 points. Yeah, 19 points. But for the large majority, it felt like there was no contributions on that end.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to look for a positive, fourth quarter J-Dub is definitely a positive. Has been for a while. I think it was Nick that tweeted that J-Dub has more points in the fourth quarter this season than Shea, which is pretty incredible for as clutch as we talk about Shea being. Like, that's big time. But that, again, it all goes back to that first half. The Thunder were settling. I'm looking at the shot chart right now. In the first quarter, the Thunder did not make a single basket outside the paint.
That's so unlike them.
That's
so
awful.
Unlike them. Yeah.
And in the second quarter, they made 2.
Oh, God.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you can see that change in the third and fourth quarters. They start hitting more shots. They also started attacking the paint more. The number of empty circles around the perimeter in the first 2 quarters compared to they took 1, 2, 3, 6 threes in the fourth quarter is all. Everything else is in the paint. The first quarter is like almost the inverse of that. And that shows, like, again, that's when things started turning around. They started playing their style of basketball. And unfortunately, they dug themselves too much of a hole. But the problem is, like, as much as I can stare at these shot charts and complain about their shooting, they shot 53.6% from the floor. That's not bad.
Mm-mm.
What is bad is 29% from 3 and 66% from the free throw line.
That is so bad.
The Nets also, like, they didn't shoot the lights out. They shot better than they have. And
45% from the field. I didn't realize it was that bad. For
45% from the field. So, like, it really, like, it all comes back to the hustle stats.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder. Like, you have a bad shooting night, the other team's on fire. You can live with that. But that isn't really an accurate depiction of this game.
No.
The good news is, I think that's fixable. We've seen it in, like, small segments of the season, right? How much we talked about rebounding the first month of the season to how much we've talked about it lately. Like, they can fix that. You said it earlier. It happens with effort. If they don't have that stone cold, like, Steven Adams presence that's going to gobble up every rebound, then you can fix that with a team effort. Tonight, the effort wasn't there. It was on the Brooklyn side of the ball. And that's why you can shoot 45% and still win a game like this, because you only have to shoot 50% when you get your own offensive rebound every time.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess we can kind of look ahead a bit. You said it earlier in this, but I think I'm okay with these 2 losses as a wake-up call. You know, it's almost worse if a team is just flying high on their own supply and never messing up. If the Thunder had won, rattled off so many in a row, and then when they finally hit a block like this later in the season, it was harder to recover from. So I'm kind of glad it happened now. I think a healthy test is, one, they've played three games in 4 nights, something along those lines.
4. Yep.
Yeah. So that's tough. So they get the weekend off.
3 games in 3 nights would be insane.
That would be insane.
Didn't they do that in the COVID year? They had to like compress the schedule. Anyway,
I think they may have.
Taking us off track.
What would that, if a Sega Baba is, what would that be called? I don't know.
Sega Baba. Trega Baba.
Sega Baba?
Oh.
They get a nice little game on Monday against the Wizards, I believe.
Yes.
That's nice.
It should be, and it should be an opportunity for them to show they've learned, right?
Yeah.
You can deal with failure as long as you learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Failure that you don't learn from is just failure.
Yeah.
If they come out and give up 35 plus points to the Wizards in the first quarter, that's unacceptable based on these last 2 games.
If I have to see Denny Avdia, who I'm reminded of with our guy Jacob in the chat, if I have to see Denny Avdia light us up on Monday, Corey Kispert light us up on Monday and lose, I'll be in a dark place. I'll be in a dark place. And speaking of a dark place, our guy Jacob Niffen in the comments says, if they lose on Monday, can I play Russian roulette live on the show? You know
I
what?
think that's frowned upon in
That's
YouTube's
frowned upon.
content policy. They have to come out and dismantle the Wizards.
They do.
If they don't, then we start asking some serious questions.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can excuse Atlanta. Tonight is inexcusable, but you have to take that opportunity and learn from it. And this team, I think they've shown that ability throughout the season, especially these young guys. Like, I know we've talked about it before, but like look at Chet, how much he changed from like his first matchup with Jokic to his second and third. Totally changed the way he approached that matchup. This is an opportunity for him, but not just him, to evaluate how he prepared for this game, to evaluate how he approached the beginning of the game, because we can't do again what we saw from this Thunder team tonight. And I think it is nice that the Wizards are next and not like some other contender. Yeah,
I mean, they play Miami next. Like if those were flipped.
Exactly. Yes. They get a chance to reset and right the wrongs against Washington before they have to go to Miami to close out this road trip. And I think it's an opportunity. It's a young team. I think it's, like I said, you're not sounding the alarm bells yet. It's also nice, to your point, they played 3 games in 4 nights. They got Saturday and Sunday off before that Monday night tip. So that gives you a little bit of a chance to, get to Washington, D.C., maybe put your feet up, visit a Smithsonian. Who knows?
Know your history, folks.
I don't know what they do. But
if you want to get tested on hustle stats, Miami's a pretty good team to play for that.
Yeah. And then you
Figure
go
it
to
out.
Miami, and then you have another real test to kind of showcase, like, get your reset against Washington, and then go into Miami and prove again that you're that team. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, right? Like, the Thunder have been so good about contending with the contenders, not winning every game, but like being in it,
Mm-hmm.
and not losing to the crappy teams. That's what great teams do. The Thunder have done that all year. They've now lost to 2 kind of crappy teams.
Yeah.
If that becomes like a habit, then you're in trouble. Then you're like, we've seen these teams before. We saw the Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony Thunder teams have a really hard time with that, where you're just not locked in on every occasion. And I would love for this team to get back to taking those opportunities seriously and beating the teams you're supposed to beat, because those are opportunities to climb the standings and make some headway, because you're not going to beat Miami every time you play them. You're not going to beat Denver every time you play them, or Boston, or
just show up for the 4 quarters and, let it happen as it's going to. I do think fatigue is becoming an actual thing for Chet. Like, his shots are just short.
Yep.
I'm noticing that more. And that brings me to another comment from our guy, Jacob, in our YouTube live stream. He says, last 2 games make you guys rethink anything as far as trades / getting another big. What you have any? I kind of want them to make. I said it on Sunday's show. I want them to trade for a big, but
Yeah.
not like a fringe big, not like a starter by any means, like an Olynyk or something. But I'm not like
I would
pounding
not
the
support
drum
an
for.
Olynyk trade.
You don't want. We lost JRE's goatee. We're getting Olynyk's
No.
goatee. He's a little nasty.
If JRE had the Godsmack goatee, Kelly Olynyk has the vintage stock goatee.
Oh my god, he does look like a vintage stock customer. Average vintage stock customer. Speaking of just nasty stuff.
Please go on.
My girlfriend's become a fan this season. And she's trying to discuss sports, and it's kind of funny seeing her, who's never been into sports, try and discuss it.
I love
she's
that.
like, what's Dort's nickname? He does people dirty a lot. Do they ever call him Dirty Dort? And it's like,
they do now.
They do now. Dirty Dort.
Dirty Dort is now. I'm gonna get my life's goal is to get that listed on Basketball Reference.
Basketball Reference. Why did they call him Dirty Dort? Well, if you go to the uncontested on January 5th of 2024.
Dort.
Boy. Yeah.
I don't think this again. I think if you're starting to think about trading or changing your roster building philosophy based off these two games, that you're probably making a mistake.
Yeah.
I do think that fatigue is a factor, and I think we're going to get to see the real test of that this month, where the Thunder have a jam-packed schedule. They have lots of back-to-backs, and they have some significant road trips. I think this young team, outside of Shea and Dort, who have done this for a while, you have J-Dub in his second year. You have Chet in his first real year. You have Micic, who's only ever played Euroball. You have Kaysen, who's never played a season like this before too. We're at the point now, take Kaysen, for example. He's coming off a college season where he played 30 games.
Yeah.
We're at that mark. His body's in the off season, right?
He hit a 3 off the side of the backboard tonight.
Who among us hasn't done that?
Yeah. It's one of us.
But that's post March Madness, off season time.
Yeah.
For a college player. And half of these guys are essentially college players. So that's going to start to be a real factor. And I think that's going to be something to monitor again, of knowing that you're going to be fatigued. You have to adjust your play to compensate for that. If you think you can come out and play in game 50 with the freshness of game 10, you're probably going to have a rude awakening. And I think for this young team, that's going to be another adjustment that they have to work through. And hopefully it's weird to say veteran guys on this team because they're all so young, but some of those veteran guys can kind of help lead through that a little bit. And I think for these younger guys, you hope that they can hold up, which brings me to a point that I feel like I have to address, because it's a very dominating narrative on Thunder Twitter lately is Mark's lineups.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all, if he plays the same 9 people every night, they're all going to be dead by the All-Star break. And that's a serious issue.
Yeah, we're not the Bucks.
Right. You have to change it up. You have to play Micic. You have to play Lindy Waters. You have to let certain people sit sometimes, or else they're not going to make it through this long of a season. And I think that's something that gets lost. This isn't 2K where you pick your best lineups and go run it the whole season. You've got to mix it up. And so we're at the point now where Mark used to be known for that, for purely roster exploration purposes. And while I think there's still some of that going on, I don't think that's the predominant reason why some of these guys are getting minutes. They're getting minutes to keep things fresh, to try out new things, to experiment with new schemes, and to get fresh legs. And I think as they go through January, you're going to see more of that, not less. And I hope that overall, people understand the dynamic that's at play. It's not just, why doesn't he play insert player name here more? Why is he playing Lindy Waters?
That's how I imagine that person sounds too.
That was my
Berton shouldn't be out there. Yeah. I also think there's a mental advantage. that almost sounded
Latvian laser.
You nailed it.
That was pretty close.
Almost like you said that originally. I also think that that Mark values the mental benefits of playing everyone except our guy Poku, playing everyone
And Trey
so
Man,
that they
kind
are
of.
engaged
Yeah.
and feel like they're a part of the team. I think it probably keeps the spirits higher in general. Maybe that's some just nonsense, but I think there is some of that plays a role also. It keeps everyone engaged,
Yeah.
feels like they're contributing, especially in the doldrums of the season when you need them to play, like you said.
I think too that you never know when you're going to need these guys. Like, knock on some serious wood. Serious wood is a weird combination of words. I apologize to everyone, but he needs to do some 6'9" things. Come on. Anyway, the Thunder haven't had, a significant injury this year. It could happen. And if that happens, is that the time that you want to be working out some of those guys on the bench and putting them into a new role, like at that moment? Or would you rather them be like somewhat comfortable if that moment happens? I apologize for my phrasing, but like, again, not only morale, but also like just preparedness. What if that comes in the either, the stretch run of the season or in the playoffs? Somebody goes down, Lou Dort goes down, misses 2 games, and you've got to plug somebody in a time where you've really got to get a win. Is that the time that you want to be, trying somebody out? Or do you want to do it now so that they can jump in and be ready? And I think that's looking at the big picture of things too, I think is helpful, not just looking at one game sample sizes.
Yeah. I am not mentally prepared for a serious injury to occur. I think that would just fry my nervous system.
Now that I said it, everyone can pull this clip if it happens.
Yeah. I'm like, I do reflect on the team every once in a while. I'm like, I'm enjoying this season so much.
It's a blast.
So much. Please, let's just stay relatively healthy. That would be great if that's the case. Anything else, Justin, before we...
No, we talked much more than I thought we would be talking about this game. Before the comeback, this was going to be... I don't know if everybody remembers this, but during one of my worst losing appearances on the pod, horrible game. Thunder should not have lost. I came on and said, you know what? There's really nothing to say about this. It was a terrible loss. They shouldn't have lost. And then I played the outro. Just after like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And then I came back on and was like, I'm just kidding. I'll do a whole pod. I was very close in like the middle of the third quarter to messaging you and saying we should do that again.
Oh, I was beginning to check out for sure. But they made it somewhat of a game, and now we can all regroup for the show on Sunday and then talk about a win on Monday, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Let's get the heck out of here for now, though. Justin, thanks for joining me. Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining the live stream, asking us questions. Our guy Jacob showed up. It's great. Had some discussions about Sirius Wood, which is interesting.
Sirius Black's second cousin, I think. Sirius Wood.
We will see you all on Sunday. Today's Friday. Who knows? It's New Year. Maybe the days are different now. We'll see you all on Sunday at the usual time. But until then, and as always, adios and Thunder up.